Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and in today's video I am going to walk you through a killer little exercise that is going to help you practice combining your arpeggio work with your scale work. This is a wonderful exercise that will help you break out of some of those scale patterns and arpeggio patterns and use them together in a more fluid and musical setting. This is an exercise that came from weekly guided practice routine number 16. If you want to check out my weekly guided practice routines, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. We do one of those every single week, a 40-minute instructional video with a full practice routine and write up where you can follow along and practice along with me and take your playing to the next level and become the bulletproof musician you've always wanted to be. So hopefully I see some of you guys over there. This is a wonderful exercise as far as I'm concerned, because I'm a big believer in if you practice scales, you'll play scales. If you practice arpeggios, you'll play arpeggios. We need to start practicing things that are a little bit more musical in nature. Now that could be vocabulary, or that could be sequence practice, or that could be the practice of the integration of scales and arpeggios together. Anything that takes you away from making your music sound like an exercise is good for you. And sure, this exercise will end up sounding like an exercise, but it's definitely considerably less exercisey than just running up and down a scale. So I'm going to jump on over to my guitar now and walk you through the basic routine that we have. So it's very simple in nature, using the Fender T-Lac today. What a beautiful guitar. We're going to be playing over a G7 chord. That sort of sound. And in order for us to really practice that, we need to know two things. One of those things would be our scale. I'll always refer to this as a G dominant scale, but of course if you want to be a little bit more modally accurate, we would call this G mixolydian, and that looks like this. It really doesn't matter how you finger that scale. I'm using a cage fingering there. You might use a 3-note per string fingering. All of those things are totally valid. It's just the knowledge of the scale pattern. That's very, very important. Now, I don't want to practice a scale up and down, up and down. I want to combine it with my arpeggio, but of course, I need to know the arpeggio too. So again, you need to make sure that you're very aware of what your actual arpeggio is, and that, for me, is going to look like this. Those are the notes of my arpeggio. Now, the struggle is being able to see these two things, as I'm shown here in these diagrams, and understand that these two ideas don't need to be separate. We can use them together. We can combine these things and start mixing the sound of our scale and our arpeggio. So rather than seeing two distinct diagrams like this, I realistically want to see two diagrams that are merged together to give us this. Now this gives me an idea of what notes are in my chord and what notes are in my scale. And to me, the notes of my chord are always going to be the most important notes that I can play, always, because they sound the most like the sound of my chord. So what we're going to do today is we're going to play 4 notes of our arpeggio, and then we're going to play 12 notes of a descending sequence coming from our scale. Now, we should probably just briefly talk about that sequence because it's real important that we know this. This is what I'd call a 3-2-1-3 sequence. We're starting with a high note, 3, we come down, 2, we go down one more to 1, and then we jump back up to the highest note. So if I did that starting on my highest note, my G, we would have G, and then we come down, F, E, and then jump back up to G. That's my sequence. And then I'm going to repeat that same sequence, but starting on the next note down, on the F. Then on E. And realistically, I think you can probably latch onto this musical idea once I play it. You know where it's going. Musically, you can hear where it's going. And that's the beauty of a sequence, of course. It gives the listener something that they can latch onto, something that they understand. So that's our 3-2-1-3 sequence. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by moving up an arpeggio, and then we're going to come down that 3-2-1-3 sequence. So using the diagram, if you either want to, look at the one on screen or draw this out or close your eyes and visualize this diagram, any of that's valid. We're going to move up 4 notes of our arpeggio. So G7 arpeggio, 1, 3, 5, 7. And then when we get there, we're going to move down a semitone because this is the next note of our scale. And then when we get here, we're going to play that 3-2-1-3 sequence. Now you want to really be able to hear this before it happens, right? So can we hear ba 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 ba? That's our idea. Up the arpeggio, down the sequence. Now we end on this note B. From here, I'm kind of mixing things up a little bit because we could just play our G7. We could play 3, 5, 7, 1. But I actually prefer the sound of playing 3, 5, 7, 9. This is still, I'm thinking of this as being arpeggio. You could think this is a B minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, or we could think of it as being a G9 arpeggio. Realistically, I think I'm thinking the sound of a G arpeggio. So I'm really thinking 3 of G, 5 of G, 7 of G, 9 of G. Now when we get there, we're then just going to descend our 3-2-1-3 sequence. So we're going to start on the note G, and can we hear that sequence? Ba 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 ba. So we have 2 segments of this sequence so far. We're ending on D, which is the 5th of our G7 arpeggio. So here I'm going to move up my G7 arpeggio. 5, 7, 1, and then 3. And then when we get there, I'm going to come down to the note A, and I'm going to descend this 3-2-1-3 sequence. So can we hear it? Ba 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 ba. It's really important that we can hear that sequence before it happens. So our whole pattern, starting from that arpeggio, that G7. Nice little sequential idea. We've ended on the note E. Now, of course, E isn't in our G7 arpeggio. It's the 6th of G. But that's okay. I'm just going to start an arpeggio starting on the note E. And what I'm going to play is, this is an E minor 7 arpeggio. But of course, I'm thinking of it as being 6, 1, 3, 5. And when we get there, we're going to then hit C and descend our sequence. Ba 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 ba. Have to hear the sequence. We've ended on G. Let's play our G7 arpeggio. And then descend our sequence. Ended on the note B. We're going to play... Now this is, of course, the same 4 notes that we played down here. It's a B minor 7 flat 5. That's my arpeggio. And then we're going to descend. And then moving on to D, we can play an arpeggio. This is a G7 arpeggio. And then to finish this musical exercise, I'm going to come down this bit of vocabulary. That's a bit more kind of scale and an arpeggio combination. where we are putting in a flat 3-3 thing in there. It's a bit of musical vocabulary and less about the sequence there, but I think tying it off in that way makes it sound a little bit more musical, and I'm totally here for that. So if I play that entire thing nice and slowly for you, it's going to sound like this. Of course, I'm playing that with this constant alternate picking motion. That's really important. It's going to get your timing really solid on this. And of course, when I swing it really hard, that really kind of helps to make sure my timing is really solid on that. So definitely worth considering that constant alternate picking motion. And of course, it is a great alternate picking workout. It's going to provide you with every possible combination of notes that you might need to play. 1 note on each string, 2 notes on the string, 3 notes on the string, and all combinations of string crossing. So wonderful alternate picking workout. Now what I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to jump on over to the guitar profile that I've made for this as part of the weekly guided practice routine, which looks like this. And I'm going to, let's zoom in on it a bit for you. I'm going to play along to this for you. And the reason we do this is because this is how the weekly guided practice routines work. You have a guitar profile that you can download and play along with, and I play along with, and it looks like this. And we can adjust the speed and things of this, and it's a really nice practice tool. So I'm going to put on our metronome click. I'm going to put an intro click on this. I'm going to press play, and I'm just going to play this exercise. In fact, we probably don't want to hear it 4 times. Let's play it twice. Boom. Okay, let's do this. So I count in, it's going to be in 4/4, and it's going to sound like this. So that's the basic exercise for you. Let's jump on back to my guitar. Now, I've done that in one area of the neck there. Realistically, you want to be able to do this anywhere. So if I saw a G here, I want to... And then... Anywhere I play, if I'm playing around this G... what are we playing? We want to be able to, execute our ideas in any area of the neck, but forcing ourselves to practice in one area like this, just down here on this E-shaped chord, is going to be a really wonderful use of our time. And hopefully you can see the benefits of that. I'm going to talk more about this in some upcoming videos of why I think piano is a wonderful thing for guitar players to learn, but of course more on that in the future. So that's the entirety of the exercise for you guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. If you have, drop me a comment below and hit that like button, subscribe, all of that good stuff. It's really helpful. And if you do want to check us out over on Patreon, there is a link in the description. You can be like these awesome people, get access to my weekly guided practice routines, weekly guided ear training sessions. If there's a spot available, you can have private lessons with me and get access to all of my private groups where you can engage with all these awesome people and me on a regular basis and take your playing to the next level. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of my many books available on Amazon. I've got a lot available. Hopefully you will find something there that you enjoy. There really are a lot of books to check out. Make sure you drop them a review as well on Amazon. That's a huge help. So thank you so much for checking this video out, guys. If you do have any questions whatsoever, please do let me know in that comment section below. I've been Levi Clay. You've been absolutely awesome, and I'll see you for another video soon. Laters.